Looking at our world from a theological perspective. This is the Theology Central Podcast, making theology central.
Good morning, everyone. It is Tuesday, April the 27th, 2021. It is currently 7:50 a.m. Central Time. And once again, I am here at Victory Baptist Church, located in Ovalo, Texas. I'm here inside of the sanctuary at Victory Baptist Church, sitting in front of this microphone to talk about what's going on in our world and try to do so from a theological perspective. Now, when I woke up this morning, I had lots of things that I wanted to come here to the church today and talk to you about. But sadly, once again, I have to turn on this microphone and we have to talk about another police shooting. These situations are obviously never pleasant. We have another individual who has been killed, another situation where the police encounter a gentleman and the next thing you know, shots are fired and a person is dead. And now there's all kinds of questions. And we've talked about this in great detail, that we always have to be very careful and think there's a process we have to follow to try to ensure that we don't say anything that's not accurate. We don't say anything that's not true. So we need to be very slow to speak right here. So what I'm going to try to do for the next, 20, 30 minutes, however long this takes, is I'm going to just try to go through some of the news reports. I have at least 2 audio clips, and we're just going to be very careful how we process this information. We're going to just try to see what we know, what we don't know, and be very careful not to say anything that we don't know. All right, that's very important. We're going to find out what we do know. We're going to find out what we don't know. And then we're going to try to make sure that we don't speak something that we don't actually know. We don't want to make any rash judgments. We don't want to say anything that is inaccurate. We don't want to say anything is false. And we have to be very careful because you and I both know, we talked about this in great detail in previous episodes, that it doesn't take long for a narrative to emerge. Okay, a narrative emerge. And as soon as a narrative emerges, then people begin to take sides. And then once people begins to take sides, then emotions begin to rise. And then typically the truth gets completely obscured. And then we don't know what, then it's almost, we don't even know what the truth is anymore. And that is what we're going to try to avoid. So I know a lot of people are talking about this today. I know everyone has an opinion. But once again, I'm going to try to say, please slow down. Let's get all the information. But listen, no matter what the information ultimately reveals, I'm telling you, this situation where this continues to happen only creates a very volatile situation where it doesn't take a lot before emotions basically explode, and then you have violence, and you have buildings burning, and you have people getting injured and people getting hurt, and then who knows if it leads to some other shooting somewhere down the road. There's always so many unintended consequences that can emerge from these situations. But it is... Yeah, I'm trying to be careful what I say. I don't want to say something that I shouldn't say. So let's do this. Before I say anything else, let's just listen to these audio clips. These are from this morning. They aired earlier this morning on NPR. We'll start with there's a lot of news agencies I could go to, but we'll just start with NPR because these are the first ones I heard, and we'll just see how they're handling the story. And again, we're going to try to listen carefully for what is factual here, what is opinion, and then we're going to obviously, I will throw in any thoughts that I feel is appropriate, but I just want you to know exactly what is going on, and then we'll talk a little bit about this as we proceed through this. So here we go. This is from NPR, from their morning edition. Well, there's a couple of things I could have found, but we'll just start with this. Here we go.
First, North Carolina authorities said they had to wait to release video of a police shooting.
Now they've shown a small part of it to Andrew Brown Jr.'s family. That video apparently shows just a bit of Brown's arrest and death in Pasquotank County. The family's lawyer, Harry Daniels, is not satisfied.
Now, let me stop right here. From what I can tell, with just initial research, the family was shown a 20-second clip. So it sounds like there was a lot of back and forth. Like, okay, we have to wait before we can, show any of the video footage. Okay, now we're going to show the family some. But initially, it sounded like the family thought they were going to be shown all of the video, but they were shown a very redacted video clip of only 20 seconds. Why the family wasn't shown all of that, we do not know as of right now. We don't know why they were like, no, we have to wait. No, here you go. Wait, all of it. There's a lot of things that are, put it this way, not helping the situation. And I don't know why this is the way it's happening. Maybe we'll find out what the thinking was, but that's already creating now more questions and problems. And you're getting ready to hear in this clip, the attorney for the family, who clearly is not happy. And, the situation is already not good just based off that. Hey, we're going to show you the video. No, we're not going to show the video. Oh, and another very important point that needs to be made here. No one in the media, as far as I know, and definitely for those of us in the public, we have not seen the video footage. So all we can rely on are the words of the attorneys. That's very, very important to realize right now. We don't know. So there's a lot we don't know. In fact, we don't know anything because we haven't seen the video footage. Why the law enforcement and the city officials, why they're like, we have to wait. Here's the family. You can see you can only see 20 seconds. Wait, nobody else can see anything. That's creating animosity and anger and frustration, which of course can then lead to some major unintended consequences. I'm going to back this up to the start so that you can hear all of this in its context. So let's go through this again. Here we go.
First, North Carolina authorities said they had to wait to release video of a police shooting.
Now they've shown a small part of it to Andrew Brown Jr.'s family. That video apparently shows just a bit of Brown's arrest and death in Pasquotank County. The family's lawyer, Harry Daniels, is not satisfied.
I was told by the district attorney that the family would get to see the raw footage, not the redacted version. Show the tape. If you ain't got nothing to hide, show the tape.
NPR's Sarah McCammon is in Elizabeth City, North Carolina, where this story has been unfolding. Sarah, good morning.
Good morning, Steve.
So we have to note here, the public at this point has seen no video. So what we have are lawyers' descriptions of a bit of the video. What do they say?
Steve, lawyers for Andrew Brown Jr.'s family say they were allowed to view a 20-second clip from one of the officers' body cams from last week. And what they describe is disturbing. Here's one of the family's attorneys, Chantel Cherry Lassiter, speaking to reporters yesterday.
Let's be clear. This was an execution. Andrew Brown was in his driveway. Andrew had his hands on his steering wheel. He was not reaching for anything. He wasn't touching anything. He wasn't throwing anything around. He had his hands firmly on the steering wheel. They run up to his vehicle shooting. He still stood there, sat there in his vehicle with his hands on the steering wheel while being shot at.
And Cherry Lassiter said that during that 20-second video, she lost count of how many shots were fired. She says there were several officers present, and they all should have been wearing body cams, and the family wants to see all of the footage.
This is the first I'd learned, Sarah, of the allegation that Mr. Brown was in his driveway when he was shot, for example. But we only know this from the lawyers. We reported yesterday that North Carolina police say they can't release body cam video without a judge's permission, and that takes time. Okay, but how did they come to show one portion to the family without just releasing the whole thing?
Pasquotank County Sheriff Tommy Wooten and other county officials have taken the position, Steve, that they have the authority under state law to release parts of the video to the family at their discretion. But they've said they need a court order to release the full video to the public. Wooten is asking for patience and for the public to allow the investigation to play out. Here he is in a video statement yesterday.
This tragic incident was quick and over in less than 30 seconds, and body cameras are shaky and sometimes hard to decipher. They only tell part of the story.
And late in the day yesterday, after several days of public pressure, Wooten said he had asked for that court order he says he needs to release the footage.
Had asked for it. Okay, we'll wait for that. What did you hear from people around Elizabeth City last evening?
Since last week, there have been daily protests in the streets. From what I have seen, they appear to be growing here in Elizabeth City. Certainly last night, people were reacting to the news that the family saw some of this footage. They were chanting, "Release the tape," and then "the real tape." I met Kirk Rivers last night. Like Andrew Brown Jr., Rivers is a black man in his 40s. He was wearing a T-shirt that said on the back, "Who's next?" And he says he was disturbed by what he heard from Brown's family about what they saw in that video.
We don't want not one single person for the family to have to go through what the Brown family is going through right now. We don't need another community to lose individual over when their hands were on the steering wheel. No threat to nobody.
Well, where does the investigation go now, Sarah?
Well, the State Bureau of Investigation has taken it over. 7 deputies with the Pasquotank County Sheriff's Office are on paid administrative leave. Family, community leaders still pressing for more details. And the family of Andrew Brown Jr. has commissioned an independent autopsy. We expect to hear more about that later this morning.
NPR's Sarah McCammon, thanks for your reporting.
Thank you.
All right. There is a lot we do not know. All right. There's a lot. I'm still trying to process the way the police are thinking here. Okay, we have to wait. Okay, we can. Here's 20 seconds. Okay, but don't rush to any judgment. Well, you only gave people 20 seconds. So why wouldn't you just wait until you can release it all and expedite getting that video footage released first to the family and then to the public as soon as possible? Now, they're claiming that we should not rush to judgment, which we should not. I agree we should not rush to judgment. I agree that there's a very good chance that some of the video will not tell the whole story. I understand that. So at some point, though, the police have to tell the whole story. They have to explain, okay, what was he in his driveway? Because initial reports didn't seem to indicate he was in his driveway. So he was in his driveway. This is what we're being told today. He was in his driveway. Remember how narratives will begin to form. You got to be very careful here. But from what we are being told today, he was in his driveway. Cops show up. Now, my understanding is, I don't want to say anything else because the story continues to change. So he was in his driveway. That seems to have some confirmation. He was in his driveway. Now, we haven't seen the video. I'm assuming the lawyers would not say something that would not be accurate out to the media, but we will have to see that his hands were on the steering wheel. His hands are on the steering wheel. He's in his driveway. Now, what we don't know is, okay, why did the cops show up? Were they there to issue a search warrant? Were they there for arrest warrant? Had they been called by 911? Now, I have some of that information, but since I don't have confirmation, I'm going to be very careful what I say there. So why were the cops there? Who told them to go there? Like, what information did they have in order to go there? Because that will kind of show you their frame of mind of arriving there. Like if they're issuing a search warrant, but they're told that there's weapons in the house and that's a dangerous situation, we need that information. Remember, we always have to get all of the context. And then, but it sounds like they arrive and then it was over, I think they said within 30 seconds. So what? I mean, there's so much here going on. Now, here's the situation. You say, well, oh boy, it's just another shooting, and you don't know how to think about it. You don't know how to process it. You don't even want to think about it. You just want to move on with your day. Well, the people who live there in that part of North Carolina, they're going to care because if this all explodes, there's going to be protests. It could turn violent and it could be destruction of property, and it's going to get ugly unless some answers come out soon, and I don't know what those answers are going to be. There's one more clip I have here from NPR as well, all right? And I don't think this is going to offer a lot of new information, but I just want to make sure I give you all the information that was reported this morning on NPR. Here we go.
First, North Carolina authorities said they had to wait to release the
Actually, never mind. It looks like they played the same. It looks like they played the same report in two. If you go to the NPR website, and you look up Morning Edition, they give all the segments. So I guess what they did is at the beginning they have kind of a summary of like a number of the segments, and then later on they have that individual segment by itself. And I guess in the summary of segments they just play the same. They play the same thing. So we don't have any new information right there. We don't have any new information right there. So I was afraid that was getting ready to happen, but okay. So there we go. We won't listen to it again. So that's what we know right now. If you look up, I'll give you an example. If you go to, let me see here. If you go to Google right now, I don't know what search you typically use, but if you type in his name, see Andrew Brown Jr. You type in Andrew Brown Jr., you immediately are going to get how many news articles show up here. One after another. All right. And you got CNN. You've got multiple. The Elizabeth City there in North Carolina, they've declared a state of emergency. All right. Basically, this is being called an execution. Calls are growing louder for the police to release the body cam. And now, according to this is from CBS News. This is just breaking. Andrew Brown Jr. was shot in the back of the head by police, family attorney says. Now, again, that's the family attorney saying that he was shot in the back of the head. That's this is what they said. Attorneys representing the family of Andrew Brown Jr. said Monday that North Carolina sheriff's deputies shot the 42-year-old black man in the back of his head as they were serving a warrant last week. Brown's son, who was allowed to view what the family attorney said was a 20-second clip, 20 seconds of police body camera video, calling the shooting in Elizabeth City an execution. My dad got executed just by trying to save his own life. He told reporters during the afternoon press conference. Family attorney Harry Daniels said Brown was shot in the back of the head, and he called for officers involved in the shooting to be arrested right now. Another family member said the body cam video showed Brown pose no threat to the police during Wednesday's incident. She said the video showed Brown in his car in his driveway with the hands on the steering wheel. The video started with police officers firing at Brown, said. Hang on, this website is reloading. Okay. The video started with officers firing at Brown. At least 5 officers were facing the driver's side of the vehicle, pointing their weapons at Brown. Some were calling for him to show them his hands. They're shooting and saying, "Let me see your hands," at the same time. And then they go on to say Brown. Now here is some information that we have that NPR did not report. So this may be new information. Brown tried to drive away from the officers who continued to fire, she said. The vehicle eventually crashed into a tree. Now, there's going to be all kinds of speculation here. Did he try to drive away first, or did he try to drive away after the shooting started? All right, let's just make sure that statement does not indicate which. So let's be careful not to rush to any judgment. We in Black America don't understand why, when a black person is going away from you, you think it's allowable to shoot them in the back and kill them, said attorney Ben Crump, who is also representing the Brown family. It was stated that 7 officers total were at the scene of the shooting. Attorneys called for the release of footage from the body cameras and from any police dashboard cameras. Authorities have not publicly released any video from the incident, despite calls to do so from the community and local officials. In a video statement posted to Facebook on Monday, the county sheriff's office chief deputy said the office would comply if the court ordered a release of the body camera footage, but said these people who claim that the sheriff's office has the ability to release the footage either don't know North Carolina law or they're trying to purposely inflame a tragic situation. All right, so the sheriff's office is saying they don't have the power to release it. Okay, well, if you don't have the power to release it, who does, and why is there a delay? I mean, I think that's a reasonable question at this point. Who has the power to release it? Make it happen 35 minutes ago. Get the video at least to the family first and foremost. Get it to the family so they can see what happened, and then you're going to have to release it to the media, and you're going to have to release it to the public, because the longer you hold it, the more the speculation is going to begin, and a narrative is going to. I mean, look. Put it this way: you released a 20-second clip, and now that 20-second clip is going to be the very thing that establishes the initial narrative. So if you've got video footage that can give the complete narrative, you better get that released as soon as possible, or the situation is going to get worse. He said, and we heard some of this statement, that the incident was quick and over in less than 30 seconds, adding that body cameras are shaky and sometimes hard to decipher. They only tell part of the story. Okay, well, if they only tell part of the story and you can't release that video, well, what's the rest of the story? If they only tell part of the story, what's the rest of the story? Who's going to release the rest of the story? If the video is not going to tell the whole story, who's going to tell the whole story? The sheriff's deputies have been placed on paid administrative leave ahead of the family viewing the video. Elizabeth City Mayor declared state of emergency in the wake of protests following the shooting. Wooten has said deputies from his department were attempting to serve drug-related search and arrest warrants when Brown was shot. The warrants included 2 arrest warrants on drug-related charges, including possession with intent to sell cocaine for Brown, who had past drug convictions. So this is a drug-related situation. They're attempting to serve a warrant. So that seems to be some of the context. That's some of the broader context. The NPR clip did not play that. See, this is what drives me crazy about the news media. You see how you have to go from one source to another source to another source to try to piece together all the information. So here's one report, and then we start going to another report, and now we get some further background. We get more information. I'm not saying that justifies the shooting. I'm not saying anything like that. I'm just saying that you have to have all the information before you can draw any type of conclusion. That's why it has to be careful. It just frustrates me that whenever a situation like this develops, then look, NPR, they have millions and millions of dollars. They have an entire team of reporters. They have access to information I do not have. So why is it that I, sitting here in an empty building, okay, on a Tuesday morning, turning on a microphone to go live, I can sit there and go, okay, well, here's this report. Well, I can go from report to report to start building a context. Why couldn't NPR do that? Why can't any of the news media do that? Why can't they use those millions of dollars and their microphones to go, okay, this morning we've got this developing situation. We're going to spend 30 minutes on this, and we're going to go through everything that we know and what we do not know. There was a lot there they said they don't know, but then I just start reading, and all of a sudden I'm finding further information. Now we have some context of why they were there, what they were doing. Let's go through this again. The department were attempting to serve drug-related search and arrest warrants when Brown was shot. The warrants include 2 arrest warrants on drug-related charges, including possession with intent to sell cocaine for Brown, who had past drug convictions. Now, I am not saying that because someone is accused of selling drugs, even if they're selling drugs, that means police officers should show up and start unloading their weapons into a vehicle and have someone killed within 30 seconds. I'm not saying that. Obviously, police officers are not supposed to be judge, jury, and executioner. We all agree with that. But that offers broader context, and that context must be needed. We have to have all of the facts to help destroy incomplete narratives. That's where all news media should be giving all the facts. Let's see here. And well, that's all the information. That's all the information we have here. So this does not say, this gives us some further information. It appears he was in his driveway. They're claiming his hands were on the steering wheel. It appears shots were fired and it appears that Brown tried to drive away. We do not know if he tried to drive away prior to the shooting or after the shots were fired. If he was driving away, would that be grounds to start unloading the weapon inside the car? Lots of questions. We do know that they were serving drug-related warrants. It looks like possibly for, in fact, let me go through and read them one more time. They were trying to drug-related search and arrest warrants. This is important. Search and arrest warrants. The warrants included 2 arrest warrants on drug-related charges, including possession with intent to sell cocaine for Brown, who had past drug convictions. All right, and to be fair, this was actually published, this CBS News report, even though it's showing up like it's breaking news, this was first published actually yesterday. So that means this information was already available before NPR turned on their microphones this morning. But yet they left out a lot of that information. They left out a lot of this information. They did not even tell you why the police were there in their report, in that NPR report. It made it sound like he was in his driveway, the police show up, and the next thing you know, within 30 seconds, he is killed. Okay, well, wait a minute. There's broader context. So let me go back. Yeah, see, this is so frustrating, but this is what I'm doing this on purpose because I want you to see this is exactly what you have to do whenever a news story breaks. And the sad part is you have to try to piece together all of the information. All right, I'm looking for ones. I'm looking for reports that are. Oh, here we go. Here we go. This is 19 minutes ago. I'm looking for the latest reports. So we're just doing this live on the air. That's what we're doing. We're just doing this live on the air. And of course, I don't have producers. I don't have writers. So, all right, here we go. Andrew Brown Jr. shooting, family to release results of independent autopsy today. So the results of an independent autopsy is going to be released today. Now, I'm telling you, you're going to have the family, you got the 20-second clip. You got the 20-second clip. You're going to have the results of the autopsy. And this is going to form the narrative. And the police department and the authorities are way behind right here. And unless they've got facts, details, and video footage, they're going to have to get that out, or the narrative is if it goes against this narrative. But I'm just saying the narrative is already being formulated. And now we're going to have to wait and see. Here's what this is going to happen at 11 a.m. Eastern time today. The Brown family and their lawyers will hold a press conference this morning at 11 a.m. at Elizabeth City, North Carolina, to share the results. The family had the autopsy conducted after Brown was shot by sheriff's deputies who were conducting our narcotics warrant. 7 members of the sheriff's department are on administrative leave following the shooting, and 2 others have either resigned or retired. On a press conference Monday conducted shortly after family members and lawyers reviewed body camera footage of the shooting, attorneys said the death was an execution. The family was only shown a 20-second portion of the footage of the shooting, which took place last Wednesday. They say the video shows Brown in his car as deputies opened fire. Now, that doesn't say that his car was in the driveway. So we have some reports saying the car was in the driveway. This one just says he was in his car. Here, so far, we're not told why the police were there. Let's continue. Lawyers say Brown was not a threat to officers when the shooting began. He had his hand on the car steering wheel, when the first shot was fired. They added that Brown later backed his car up to avoid gunshots, not to target officers. So that now adds, you see what happens when you start reading one report after another report after another report? It literally, it's become... All right, this literally now places, and this is just a sad state of media. All right, the news media has got to do a better job on this. You should be able to tune into any news report. Doesn't care if it's ABC, CBS, Fox, and all of the facts of a situation should be clearly articulated, right? I'm tired of these, we've got 6 minutes. We only have 7 minutes. Forget time restraints. Go through every piece of evidence. Go through every piece of information and let the people know without interpreting it. here we are, a free podcast that is being done by one person with no millions of dollars behind me, no equipment, no writers, no reporters, and we're just piecing together information, and we're already getting, you realize that this news article will give you one bit of information. Another news article will give you a different piece of information. A news report from either radio or television will give you another piece of information, and then it becomes your responsibility as an individual to try to piece all of that together. Well, the fact that you're going to leave it to individuals to try to piece all of the information together, you can't complain when there's misinformation, misunderstanding, and it leads to lots of false narratives. The media has to be the one clarifying all of that. So was he in his driveway? Yes or no? He started backing up. We've got some reports saying he started backing up after the shooting started. So we have no clarification here. We have no clarification. Every article is going kind of adding a little different idea to what occurred. Let's see here. So they say that he was no threat to the officers when the shooting began. He had his hands on the car's steering wheel when the first shot was fired. They added that Brown later backed his car up to avoid gunshots, not to target officers. The body camera footage from the fatal shooting has not yet been made public. In North Carolina, body-worn police footage can only be released to the public with a court order. The sheriff says the county plans on filing a motion in court asking for the footage to be released. Well, why have they delayed so long? Why have they delayed so long in filing that motion? Now, this report was just released like 19 minutes ago. Are you telling me they still haven't filed the motion? Let's see here. Family members reviewing the footage declared prior, and now this is written incorrectly. It says prior family members viewing the footage. Prior to family member viewing the footage, Elizabeth City declared a state of emergency, noting that the footage could lead to civil unrest. There have been six consecutive days of protest marches in the city since Wednesday. All have been peaceful. Now, see, that's very important to note. So far, the protests have been peaceful. That's good to note because you can create a narrative that these people are out there already trying to burn everything down. So far, they've been peaceful. So far, the family's only seen 20 seconds. So far, what we seem to we don't know for sure, but it seems that he was in his driveway. It appears from what that putting this all together, that it appears that there's a good chance the shooting started first, then he started moving the vehicle, or at least according to the reports. We don't know all of this to be factual yet. We do know that the police were there to issue search warrants and arrest warrants for drug-related charges. Sounds like cocaine, selling, possessing, distributing cocaine. I'd have to go back and remember exactly how they stated it. And let's see, what else do we know? I think that's all we seem to know right now. I'm trying to go through all the different reports. So hands are on the steering wheel, possibly in his own driveway. It was over in 30 seconds. They were there issuing search warrants and arrest warrants for drug-related charges. It appears possibly shooting started first. Then he started trying to move the car, but we cannot completely confirm that. The police have yet to release the video footage, saying that they're not allowed to do so without a court order, and now they filed a motion to get that released. The family is going to release an autopsy report today at 11 a.m. Eastern time. And we don't know when the rest of the video footage is going to be released. The police is saying that doesn't tell the whole story, but they haven't yet told us the whole story. I don't know when they plan on telling us the whole story. I don't know. Now this is speculation. I would think that if they have clear video footage that explains the shooting, justifies the shooting, that would have been shown to the family. And that would be already spoken of. or that there would be some kind of explanation given. But maybe they're waiting to make sure they've got everything lined up so that when they have another press conference, they can say, here we go. We're going to walk through this, and this is going to show that this was justified. Maybe that's what they're planning, but while they're planning that, the narrative is already being formulated. All right, so there we go. I want to play more news reports. I almost want to use this as an example of how difficult it can be for the average individual just trying to know what actually happened. I have to read this news report. I have to read this news report. It's like you got to take all the news reports. You need a notebook, and then you got to start going, okay, all right, here's what you got to put facts or what we know. And then you got to just go, okay, according to this news report, we know 1, 2, 3, 4. According to this news report, we know 5, 6, 7. Wait a minute. According to this news report, contradicts that news report, or at least that news report left that out. And you got to put it all together. And then you can go, okay, this is what I think we know. The average person is never going to do that. They got kids to take care of. They got a job to go to. They got bills to pay. They got a life to live. So why doesn't the news media put it all together? I shouldn't have to go to 5 different news sources to just get the basic information. And I bet you if I spent another hour going through news article after news article, we would probably get maybe even additional pieces of information that we haven't seen just in this live broadcast. That is a major part of this story. The failure of the news media to offer clear, concise information that could add clarity to a situation. The news media fails to do that. So it's left up to people to start trying to explain what's going on, and that's where the narratives get created. Once the narrative is created, then people begin to take sides. Once people begin to take sides, then emotions begin to rise. And then truth gets completely lost in all of it. So please be very careful today when you hear people talking about this. We're going to get the autopsy report. This is going to be a big news story throughout the day. And I believe we're going to get additional information throughout the day. And I have a feeling that video footage is going to be released relatively soon. I believe the court's going to expedite this because they're going to have to get the information out there. So I think, and then you may want to watch what happens in that city, in Elizabeth City, North Carolina tonight, because I think you're going to probably have some, I think this is going to gain even more media attention, and then the protests are going to grow and get larger and larger. And well, put it this way. It's Tuesday. I think by Friday, the weekend could be very volatile in that situation unless some information comes out. So we're going to have to wait and see. All right. I just wanted to look at, there's other things I would have preferred to do this morning because I hate these situations, because I don't feel completely qualified to try to do this. But at the same time, someone's got to be turning on the microphone, not just throwing out a hot take, not just adding fuel to the fire. There's got to be voices out there turning on microphones going, okay, let's try to process all of this. Let's try to think all of this through. But I literally could spend all day just right here, just going, okay, here's the latest. All right, here's another update. I could just spend all day right here inside this church building, all day just sitting here searching, and then turn the microphone on going, okay, here's what we know now. All right, I'm back. Here's what we know. Okay, I'm back. And sadly, and I don't say this because it's me talking. I'm not saying it's because of me. This has nothing to do with me. Sadly, any individual with a microphone, without any journalistic training, okay, without without a team of writers, without a team of producers, I think they could do a better job of actually trying to help people find the facts than all the news media combined. I know that sounds like an exaggerated statement. I know that sounds arrogant, but I'm not saying it because it's me. Anybody can do what I'm doing today. Anybody could turn on a microphone today and go, okay, here's this news report, here's this news report, here's this news report, and give more clarification than any one news agency is doing. Because look what we just discovered. We listened to a report from NPR that left out Very critical information. Then we went to CBS. We received different information. Then we go to what is this that we just looked at? newschannel5.com out of Nashville. And we were given different information about maybe when the car started moving. So we take all of that together, and that's just a few minutes of research happening live on the air. And I wanted to do it in real time because I wanted you to see what you need to do. That's why I did it that way. I could have gathered all of that information first, but then it wouldn't have the same impact. I want you to realize that, I heard that news report. Okay, wait. Okay, I didn't hear that news report. Wait, I didn't read that. Yes, that's why you have to put all of them together, because the news media is not doing their job. And it makes me angry. And the reason it makes me angry is when the news media doesn't do their job, then it's left up to people to create the narrative and tell the story, and they'll tell the story in their way with their limited information. I shouldn't have to go to 5 different news sources to just find out the facts about what happened in a police shooting in North Carolina. Every news agency should be giving me the exact same facts with all the context. Here's why the police were there. They were issuing warrants. What kind of warrants? Search and arrest warrants. What were they for? Drug-related charges. Okay, that's information. Was he in the driveway? Yes or no? Can we draw that conclusion? Was he in his driveway? Okay, he was in his driveway. All right. Did he start moving the vehicle prior to shots being fired or after shots were being fired? Was his hand on the steering wheel? Yes or no? This is kind of information that we definitely need, and that's what we're going to have to wait and see. Autopsy will be released again today at 11 a.m. Central Time. It's an independent autopsy being released by the family. So the family, and in some cases, it looks like the family is ahead of the actual police department and the whole justice system there in North Carolina. It looks like that they're going to drive the narrative. They're going to drive it, and the police is going to be trying to react, and they should have been way ahead of this. That's something police departments have to do as well. The whole secrecy, keep information. No, you're going to have to be transparent in these situations. So pray for the entire situation. Pray that we want truth, and just, I would tell you, pray for the media. I don't know what to say. Put it this way. When I say don't trust the media, I got to be very careful. I'm going to end with this. I got to be very careful how I say this. If I say don't trust the media, then that creates a situation where then who do you trust and where do you get your information from? And next thing you know, you're getting it from, a YouTube video. You don't know you don't know what you're getting your information from. Here's what I would have to say. The media, in many cases, give us facts. They just don't give us the complete picture. So you have to take it upon yourself whenever you want to form an opinion about anything, that you've got to check multiple news sites and news sources. You've got to check probably 5, 6, maybe 7, depending on the story and what you're getting. Here's what I would say. I'll say it this way. Whenever a major news story breaks, and it's been, like here, I think it's been 6 days, I think, since this shooting took place. And we're just the information is just slowly coming out. Here's what you have to do. You listen to one news source and you try to figure out, okay, exactly what are they giving you? And then you start checking others. As soon as you realize, wait a minute, they didn't report this, this, and this is reporting additional facts, that immediately tells you that you better pause and not draw any conclusion until you do some extensive research and gathering all the information, because that tells you that the initial report did not give you the full context. The NPR story did not give us the full context in any way, shape, or form. There's just no way to get around it. They did not give us the full report. And clearly the information about the search warrants and the arrest warrants, it was already out there. So NPR had plenty of time to get that information. So that is what you have to be on the lookout. The second you get that hint, wait a minute, they report this, They report that. Now, if I put the two together, I may get the complete picture, but just please note, if it takes those two to get a fuller picture, you may have to search more to even get more of a fuller context. So it's a tragic situation because an individual is dead. I'm not here making a judgment right now on the shooting, whether right or wrong, because, again, I don't have all the information. In fact, the information continues to develop minute by minute. But a human being is dead. A human being created in the image of God has lost his life. That's always tragic. Always tragic, no matter what. Now we'll have to wait and see why it occurred, and it's going to be justification, and then what are going to be the long-term ramifications. This situation I'm just going to stop there. There's a lot of other speculation I could do, but I'll stop right there. All right, you can email me your thoughts about police shootings in general, about how the media operates. This really kind of turned into a discussion about the media more than it turned into about the shooting. But it's just very frustrating that I think sometimes individuals with a microphone can do more than, news agencies with a, $25 million budget. It should not be that way. All right, I'll stop right there. You can email me at newsif@yahoo.com, newsif@yahoo.com. Thanks for listening. God bless.